Rise.
I see a little skeleton man.
Oh. Scout Roots. I don't even know the words. I'm karaoke dependent. I need the words in front of me.
Too early for karaoke.
Wait a minute, you always bring shots.
Way too sober for that.
Bring shots. Yeah, he didn't bring it this week, but he did bring his little festive gear, which the rest of us did not. So we need to get on the ball next week.
It's December. What are y'all doing?
All right, this is Arbitrage Trade after the bell. It is Wednesday after the bell, and look at this. We have a full house. All four of us are here, and first time in a couple of weeks. How many pounds did you guys gain over the holiday?
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. That's the only right answer.
Some of us lost poundage because they were sick, though, right? I mean, that's one of us.
Oh, yeah.
He went on the Singaporean diet.
Had a nice little cleanse. I'm actually in Bali right now, so I got the infamous Bali belly.
He's balling.
Whenever people go to Bali, almost everyone gets sick at some point, and so there's literally a term for it called Bali belly.
Bali belly.
Oh wow!
I'm balling in Bali with Bali belly.
If you look it up, it's just food poisoning, but it's like you're like guaranteed to get it.
Like
and
Montezuma's revenge.
All right, more.
Don't even got that extra holiday.
Get real detailed with us, Daniel. Please tell us the details of why it's different.
I was just gonna say it's just because the water.
Oh, okay. All right. Not the effects. All right. I'm Darren with Arbitrage Trade, and this is After the Bell. My guests are Daniel Hopwood, which we were just talking to about his problems in other countries.
I have other problems if we want to talk about it.
Yeah, we're non-graphic, please. And he is the institutional wealth manager for that Saks place. And Josh Morgan, which is the banker, a.k.a. JPM. Those are really his initials. And we have Royce Wells, which is our guru of everything good.
Not just a quant. I'll just take quant.
You need to write that song. I'm just a quant. Like I'm just a bill.
I can't quantify that. Sorry.
All right, we are not financial advisors or comedians, evidently, and this is not financial advice. This information is surely for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please always consult an investment professional before making any financial decisions, or just simply let an AI bot run your business, which we'll talk about a little bit later. All right, so this is the first part of our segment, which is Tail of the Tape. So I can almost see Daniel's just oozing, smiling. I mean, he didn't say anything about we're back again, baby, because we've stayed at this really ridiculous level and keep going up and to the right. S&P hits the new all-time highs.
New market.
Yeah. Gold is at it was down, but it's starting to go back up again for whatever reason. The Dow did just hit under 45K, S&P 6082. And if you'll remember, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago that there were some investment brokerages that said we will hit 6,100, and here we are. And that's because they can pump it as much as they want to whatever numbers they want to. Moving right along. That's right. And the NASDAQ
said, you know what they said when it got close, Darren? We back, baby.
Yeah. I actually heard a little tone difference today, finally. But the NASDAQ is at 19,732. And like I said, gold did go up to 2673. So maybe it's going its way back up again. And again, anytime there's geopolitical stuff that might stick, gold usually moves back up again. And also shorts are getting their butts handed to them. We will see what happens with that. Any other comments about where the market is from any of you guys before we talk about the post-Thanksgiving trade?
I mean, when do we think Bitcoin's going to break 100?
Let's
try. Bring in Bitcoin. See, he'd bring in Bitcoin. I knew it would not do it, and because they set a market, they set a level just like they did 6,100 with the S&P, but they won't reach it because then they're gonna eventually to take all that money. We'll see.
I say nothing. I will say that I enjoyed the Ripple ride. I'm not sure if you guys got any of that XRP but I
XRP,
got
yeah.
it at I got it at 61 cents and rode to 280 on 20 grand.
And it went, is it
Damn.
back down again?
It's right at 250 ish. So
250.
that was a nice ride.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Bitcoin, just all crypto right now. It's crazy. What's Doge at? Anybody know? I should bring this information, but what's Doge at? It was at what, 18 cents a couple of weeks ago when we talked about it. Is it riding high because of the Doge department?
Yeah, it's at
Yes, Doge is like
42.
42. It's still at 42.
42.
Yeah.
42.
Wow.
Yeah.
I still don't think that's its previous all-time highs, though, right?
I'm not sure actually. Let me see. Nope, the all-time high is 48,696.
Getting there.
So it's pretty damn close.
All those
And
people
that's
that
where
bought there
it opened.
are waiting. Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
And then
Let's
fell
move on
from
to
this year.
let's move on to this time of the year, which Daniel has called the post-Thanksgiving trade, which doesn't mean what happened on Thanksgiving or even immediately after. It's what happens between now and Christmas, and it is titled the post-Thanksgiving trade. If you'd like to hear more about this, Daniel and I discuss it on our deep dive with Daniel and get a little more into the details. If we don't do that here, we really don't have time to do all that. But give us the basics of what increases, et cetera, historically happened, Daniel.
So I don't have like a stat on like how much it normally increases by. And a lot of times this is referred to as the Santa Claus rally. But since 1928, about 71% of the time, the market rises between Thanksgiving and New Year's. And, even during an election year, it rises about 75% of the time. And so this is just a nice way of saying unless you have some, positions that you want to tax loss harvest, which is, this is the season to do it. You want to do it before the end of the year. Maybe just hold on to your bag if it's doing well. If it's not, you're probably not going to make up the big difference and, take the loss, put in something else, and you can always go back next year.
Yep.
But if all these people have made so much money this year,
he actually did this for a living once.
But if they've made so much money this year, will they not want to take some harvesting so that they can get the tax deduction or no? I mean,
It's
is
the
there
other way
any
around.
type of
You're really selling for tax loss, like so it'd be a write-off.
right? Exactly. So if you're doing well, then to offset those gains, you need to take the losses, right?
Well, it depends if you have a position, right? So, I mean, I don't remember the exact numbers, but you can write off so much in losses every single year. So, regardless of how much you've lost, you can take it and it can offset the rest of your
Any future
taxes,
gains. Yep.
right? And so you can also let's just hypothetically say you had a big loss on, I have quite a few friends that have big losses on Alibaba, right? Everyone thought it was going to come back. It didn't quite, but you've seen a recent rise in crypto, right? So you can always sell the equivalent amount of crypto gains with the equivalent amount of your Alibaba losses, and you essentially tax, that you pay is zero. So you close out that position. You can always put in something else that is not. It has to be a different position, right? You can't sell SPY and then put it in, VOO. That doesn't count. You have to do like S&P into the S&P value or something. But, it just helps you, if you have that loss, also take a little bit of profits and not have to worry about the tax burden.
Gotcha. I have obviously a deeper look at what you talked about in your blog, which we will talk about deep dive. And one of the things you said is, I think you said a higher percentage of the time, the week after Thanksgiving is not so great. Isn't that what you said? Maybe you didn't.
Yeah. It can often go down. I mean, the stat I think was 56% of the time there's a dip in the week after.
That's more than less.
I obviously, Darren is perma-bear.
No. What I'm saying though is that's not what happened.
Darren is totally perma-bear. You should go work at one of those short funds.
Yeah, he's giving Royce a run for his money.
I hate the short sellers so much.
Right?
And now 0.72 in their whole new market that they're coming out 24/7, whatever. 24.5. Actually, it's 23.5. Mid-year next year. We didn't even talk about that. We could have talked about that this week. But anyway, moving on. It did not happen what normally happens this past week. So does that mean the rest of the quote Santa Claus rally, which usually happens the last couple of weeks, right? Are you saying though,
normally
Daniel, that it happens all
beginning
4
of
weeks?
October, beginning of October, and then you ride it all the way through because it starts in the crypto side and then it goes and shifts to smart caps, and then by the time you get to Christmas, you're in large caps, and everyone's just going, "Yay, we're on holiday and we're getting rich."
Well, the only thing I wanted to add there, though, is that there is nothing that we can compare this year to. It's just crazy. So maybe there is something that's going to happen different these last 4 weeks. Is all I'm saying. Just because of everything that has happened.
What has happened?
We'll see. Oh, nothing different has happened at all, Royce. It's all the
I'm
same.
just saying, hey, last year this
I'm
time,
talking about geopolitical.
everything went up. Everything
Geopolitical. I'm talking about the other, not the charts, but the geopolitical parts that have happened. This is.
I'm just saying that the last rally that began November of last year, and basically
After the
got us up
October
to these
dive.
heights.
Yep. Yes.
So I'm just like, okay, what do you mean we haven't seen this before? We saw this last year, literally starting November 1st last year.
I'm talking about non-chart related. I'm talking about the macro, the what's happening in the world. This is totally different and new. So we'll see.
The wars,
we'll
the
see.
martial law, the orange man is back. Those things.
Even just the comparisons, like we keep talking about the Fed reports, the things that are just off the charts that have never happened before. So at some point, it has to happen. It just probably won't happen. You're right. It won't happen these last 4 weeks. It'll be just the same. But I think we'll have what we're doing now, which we're rising still. We'll have a little dip in the middle, and then we'll do the Santa Claus rally the last couple of weeks. That's what I'm saying. We'll see what that's.
I'll give you a little fuel to your fire. If you look at it, like the Santa Claus rally, yes, historically going back to like the 1920 whatever, is true. Break it down, and if you actually look at just the last like 20 years, the overall rate of return in December is not as good. It's only like 0.8% versus, and that's because you got to think about, like, we had 2008 December, we had December 2012, we had December 2018, that all skewed the numbers in such the opposite direction that the total return, if you average out all those months or the last 20 years, December of the last 20 years, it's only a very, very slim win.
I mean, that's those charts working back to that equal.
Mm-hmm.
Down and up, down and
Cowboys fan, don't do it.
Oh, come on.
Or Raiders, evidently this year. I saw your meme. I saw your meme. All right, so let's move on to again. This is something that is going to be fairly new, which is this trade war. We've had it before, yes. Was it during a political? Was it before the? Because this is happening before he actually takes office right now, instead of after he took office the last time. So it'll be a little different in that respect. But give me some stats there about what the trade war is currently right now, Daniel.
Yeah, just a first comment on what you were saying, Darren, is it's pretty crazy that Trump is not president yet he has all these, kind of world leaders coming to Mar-a-Lago to hold meetings before, and yet they're not meeting with the current administration, which, like, I find pretty crazy. Right? But with that,
all right, you're out of here. Get out of here.
I know it's like, I don't know if they fear him, respect him, or just want to be on his good side, but they're like, okay, clearly we need to go back to the orange man. But with that, it's like, he's already kind of talking about potential policies, right? Obviously, I think, with Trump, they say, take him seriously, but not literally. And, 25% tariffs on all goods from Mexico and Canada, an additional 10% tariff on Chinese products. These are, pretty decent numbers, especially for the tariffs on Mexico and Canada. 83% of Mexico's exports went to the U.S. last year. and 75% of Canada's exports also went to the US. So those are pretty big numbers. And, we haven't, we've seen some response from Mexico and Canada, nothing particular about what they would do other than they're not happy. But China yesterday already started banning the exports of rare minerals to the US. And I have to imagine this probably includes rare earth metals that are used in EV batteries. And who's our largest competitor with EVs? China. So, I think it's about to get pretty politically tense, globally when Trump gets in and, they start trying to negotiate all these different things.
Yeah, I don't know did you hear what happened with Trudeau? Canada?
That he told them that if they can't handle the tariffs, they could be the 51st state. Yeah,
that's it. And he could be the governor.
Yeah, I was like, that's
be the governor.
So that's why they were saying he was senile. I'm like, what?
No, he's just the same old, same old.
Yeah, that was a real incredible slide diss. Like, well, if you can't handle the tariffs, you can be the 51st state.
That's it.
Bye, Puerto Rico. I'm sorry. You were close.
He already reminds me of Newsom's brother. They look like they could be brothers.
I was literally thinking that when he said the governor. I was like, oh, it'd be like a second California, just colder.
And pretty much. Same policies, pretty much. So, I mean, anything you guys want to add in there on that? I mean, the only thing I was going to add is that what China did, which is in tomorrow's 3 things, is those elements that you're talking about are military related, and our military uses them for a lot of things. So that actually impacts. Okay, are they doing that? And which, by the way,
well, what I was going to say is you're talking about the tariff. Yes, the thing that is, I guess, most concerning about the tariffs are the fact that, like you're saying, it goes tit for tat. Just because it's not like we're the only people that can enact tariffs. China can just turn around and do the exact same thing. So he's obviously using this as some sort of a bargaining chip, but it gets even more spicy, like what you were saying, when you think about it, the 3 that he had, the first 2, like gallium and palladium or something like that. But antimony is the really interesting one because it is used in a lot of different things, like not just lithium batteries, like EVs, microchips, anything that makes basically any electronic in existence, but how much it's used in military applications. I mean, it's it's armor piercing bullets, like night vision goggles, infrared sensors, like precision optics, lasers, explosives, like nuclear weapons, ammunition, production, like flares, clothing, every bit of military technology requires antimony. And as far as I know, we had one deposit of antimony that was pretty much sucked dry back in World War II. And everything that we've done past that has been an import. So what China is and they export I think 80% of it. And not only that, but they process almost the entirety of the world's supply of that. So even the countries that have it still ship it to China to get it processed. Like the amount of control they have over this could be, catastrophic. And Trump's over there like, I'm just going to throw 100% tariffs on China and Russia and all that. And so, there could be a backlash other than just increasing the cost of goods.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. You say antimony, I say vibranium. I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
What movie was that?
I forgot to read the periodic chart before I came to this podcast. The hell are we talking about right now?
That's what movie is that? I keep forgetting. It's the big long
Avengers.
people.
Oh, it's Avengers. Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Yeah.
It's Wakanda. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Panther.
Yeah, Black Panther, right?
I think it was one of those.
Yeah. But the other thing is tariffs, right? Tariffs, like Josh said, basically, other countries have the ability to raise tariffs as they see fit. Does anyone possibly see this as a inflationary move? Basically, you raise the tariffs, you either are paying in your currency or the American dollar. So if it depends on how you're paying for those tariffs, you can either inflate your currency so that way basically it winds up being the same amount of US dollars. You just made your economy, technically your dollar in your country, weaker, which could be the power play here. It's like, hey, make them more dependent on the US dollar by making them make their own dollar weaker to be able to pay the tariffs, because going across the border, it starts in that country's currency and then switches to ours. So if you weaken their dollar, you can keep the amount of US dollars that are still coming in roughly the same, but you had to weaken your dollar to get there.
Nice transition to the next segment there, Royce. Whether you knew it or not.
Yeah, to help this transition, I didn't put this in my notes originally, but I remember the quote is that I think it was like 1971, like the U.S. Treasury Secretary or someone. I don't know exactly what Europe was going through, but they told the European Union, they're like, the U.S. dollar is ours, but it's your problem. And, I think this is, kind of what Royce is alluding to, of like, yeah, there's these tariff and things, but at the end of the day, you're always going to be using our money to do it. And, Trump is now trying to make sure that the idea of a BRICS currency never takes off.
Yep. That's exactly what I think the play is.
In your notes, you said that it was 58% of the world's foreign exchange reserves. You gave us numbers.
Mm-hmm. But hey, don't forget about the euro. The euro has a very, very large pull.
Gee, could that be in a future chart?
Potentially.
So it's possible. We might speak it into existence. So let's move on to a specific little more of a micro thing, actually. Coffee. Coffee is expensive. What's the new Starbucks CEO going to do? Why is coffee expensive, Daniel?
Well, first of all, something that the Starbucks CEO did that I love is I believe they're no longer charging for alternative milks, which I always thought was ridiculous anyway.
Right? Like, seriously?
I was like, why am I paying a whole $1 more for milk that is maybe 10 cents more? I was like, this is absurd.
Not even, because you don't have to feed the cow to make the milk.
Mm-hmm.
You just ground up
but when you literally buy almond milk, it's like half the size for double the price, right? But I'm like, I know you're getting it in such bulk that it like that cost shouldn't come to me as a whole $1 per cup.
Yeah, it should definitely be half, or if
because
not,
it's harder to milk an almond than it is to milk a cow.
I have so many jokes about this that I'm not going to say. So I'll go to my notes. Okay, so
no one's his name Greg.
I will get
arbitrage.
fired.
That's arbitrage after dark, not after dark. Paid subscriptions only.
Get after the bell after dark. Let's go.
That's right. I had a few things to say about that, though. It was weather related in Brazil because I did a little research too after you said that, which I'm trying to transition to tea anyway. But Brazil, there was a Brazil drought.
Didn't we leave the Britain because of tea, and now you want to go back to it?
There you go. We'll have a party.
I'm sure you want to pay more taxes too, huh?
We'll have a party in the Bay. Brazil's drought is and they supply a third of the Arabica supply to the world. There's been typhoons and rainfall in Vietnam, and they're the top producer of Robusta. And the Brazilian real, is that how you say it? Real? That's what you call their currency?
Mm-hmm.
High volatility and inflation in Brazil, all those are adding to the cost right now of coffee. So again, we'll see what kind of marketing Starbucks does in spite of the inflation that's going on with coffee. So that was a nice change from the other things we were talking about. Anything you want to add to that, Royce, just as far as currency, how that affects?
I'm going to try to believe that supply and demand, that they never store anything ever, and we're going to let a single drought or a single hurricane deplete all of our supplies so that way we can raise our prices. I'm going to believe that. That's what I'm believing right now.
Don't stop.
like there's two like major point. Like, sorry, I'm kind of a coffee enthusiast, so I kind of dove into this one a little bit more than maybe what seems topical. But there's two kind of major points to this one. One being that it's crazy that all of the deforestation that they've done in the Amazon and in Vietnam and in all of these subtropical climates has somehow led to climate change that caused a drought, that caused all of these coffee beans to not grow correctly, and all of the, you know, the larger Arabica beans and the smaller Robusto beans. And some, like, they're realizing that, oh, this deforestation is actually impacting coffee plants, and it's actually impacting basically their GDP. And you can look at a lot of those, you know, presidents and world leaders that are now kind of backtracking a little bit on this and actually slowing down because they're realizing that what they're doing is actually hurting. And it has stagnated coffee growth, and it is going to, you know, that drought, both areas had droughts for months and months and months. And then finally, when October rolled around, they had monsoons and typhoons and all of these various weather events so it will eventually catch up, but it's not being grown during the peak seasons. So yeah, it's going to hurt supply. The second thing is to kind of piggyback off of Royce's point that yes, the supply, they don't, like, these beans have to go through an aging process, and then they have to go through, and then they get distributed into these individual roasteries, and then they get roasted. And that's what you're seeing. Like, if you look at the date on a coffee bag, it's the roasting date. It's not when were these freaking coffee beans grown. Yeah. I mean, yes, that comes into play in some, but most of these, like Starbucks, you know, Nestle, like all of these major wholesalers and distributors of these coffee beans buy 6 months to a year in advance. This will not even remotely impact anything until in this time, 2025. But then you look at guys like Nestle and they're like, oh no, we're going to, you know, this catchy headline, and it's, oh my gosh, we're going to go ahead and raise prices in anticipation of something that's not going to happen for another year, and just to line their own pockets.
Not to mention the fact that we have a blonde roast. What'd you do? We just ran it through the water again. Uh-huh. Oh look, we've done this before. In dark roast, blonde roast, you reuse the beans.
Yep.
So if I could summarize,
Starbucks tastes so bad?
Pretty much.
I mean, well, Starbucks does use some of the better beans in the world. Like, they are pretty selective, and they only use like the top 10%, which is why it's mostly like Arabica with a little bit of the Robusto beans, which are considered inferior because they're smaller and they're not as mature. But yeah, I mean, like I said, this is not going to be an issue. It's just, this is a catchy headline for right now for a problem that really shouldn't even be popping up for another year or so. And it's messing with futures, and everybody's panicking over it. It's just it's a buzzworthy headline right now.
So do you mean it'll not be an issue in the sense that, you know, coffee supply will not be an issue, or that it will not cause a rise in prices? Because I would disagree with you that I think it'll absolutely cause a rise in prices.
It 100% will, but it's not right now.
Because of the hype.
It's not like the Nestle jumping the gun and raising prices like next month for a problem that will not impact the coffee supply until end of 2025, because I guarantee you they've got storage enough that they're distributing all of their beans that have already been purchased for the next year, 6 months to a year. But they're going to go ahead and raise prices.
So then they can rise again because it's a real crisis at that point.
Starbucks is in a position where they're kind of in a turnaround, right? So I don't see why they wouldn't raise prices as well. So regardless of the actual price of coffee, this is a great excuse for them to raise prices immediately.
Right.
So regardless of what happens, I do think it affects, you know.
But then they're going to raise prices, and then they're going to have higher quotas to meet, 6 to 12 months of the year. So where is that extra money? Like, what else are they going to raise prices on 12 months from now because they raise prices now?
You know how they don't charge an extra $1 for my almond milk now? That cost is baked in.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Just the one anecdotal thing I want to share about this is because I've been to the Amazon rainforest before. Is that I forget the exact countries, but the ones that are near Colombia, they all kind of have like a pact to like not not exploit the rainforest like too bad, because they realize how important it is to the world, the communities around there, whatnot. And when I was there, the communities talked about how like the guy we talked to is like 30, and he's like, yeah, I've noticed in my lifetime how different it is now. And apparently Brazil, they have no rules against what they can do in their land, and they have the like 70 or 80% of the Amazon rainforest falls in Brazil, and apparently they just exploit the shit out of it, don't give a crap about the communities. So it's pretty concerning that
and this
they're
is
the one that exactly right. It's so it's definitely concerning, whether or not from a short-term perspective supply demand is bad, but from a long-term perspective, it's like I drink coffee, not a crazy amount, so I'm not too worried if coffee gets crazy expensive, but it's like it does kind of run the world, at least the US. Most people get up and have a cup of coffee or something that has coffee bean caffeine extract. So
I think there's only there's only a handful, I think probably less than 10 places in the world that has the correct conditions to grow decent coffee.
Well, at scale, right? Because like Jamaica can grow coffee, but like they're not growing that much. And they also do the blue mountain coffee or something that is grown at the high altitude, and it's such a small amount, and like you only get that at specialty coffee shops and maybe a Starbucks reserve.
I have one word for you guys: hydroponics, heat lamps. We got this.
Oh, we selling a weed coffee now?
I'm like, you can grow anything at that temperature. Coffee, caffeine. I'm sure people would pay.
Well, it seems like vertical farming has a while to go. What was the SPAC I bought that ripped my face off? App Harvest. They like genetically modified tomatoes.
Oh wow.
Millennial.
Interesting. So no heirloom tomatoes for you.
I don't even like tomatoes.
All right, guys, let's get back on focus here. We've had before we are saying we're going to be sponsored by Juan Valdez here in a minute. But I do want to say that I know I'm old enough. I do want to say though that I'm going to summarize it by saying that not only are the beans roasted, but evidently so are the consumer right now. So let's move on to.
Josh wants to throw up.
I've been trying to spit that out for 30 minutes while you guys talked about the history of coffee.
Yes. The hemp.
Sorry, Derek. Right. We're intellectuals.
No, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. So, Mr. Applehead, Bitcoin Applehead, millennial, the consumer is
You're
so
gonna
confident.
insult me. At least say it right. It's Bitcoin.
I know. You've been away too long.
And it's been good for him. He's won.
You have
3.
some more.
He's tied up with you.
I see that.
We're good.
See, guys, that's investing. It's all about sitting on your hands.
We're talking about that. We're talking about that later. So the consumer is confident. Daniel, the consumer is confident. Give us the facts that you brought.
Yep. So on Cyber Monday this year, which I believe this is just the Cyber Monday number, and even if you look at the Black Friday numbers, they're a little off since most of the deals started at like the beginning of November. But Adobe reported that people spent $13.3 billion on Cyber Monday this year, which is above last year's spending of $12.4 billion. So we increased spending.
Inflation.
No, I mean, I'm sure it's just a net number.
It's like,
But I mean, still think about it. Like, if the consumer wasn't confident, that maybe that number would be the same, right? Even with inflation.
Not with literally the price of
no, because people would just not spend the money if they were not confident.
People are not spending the money. Only the wealthy are.
It would look like the same amount because inflation took over.
And how many times have we talked about the rising in debt? Like, people are not just stopping spending, like, just because it's Christmas and I've got like pucker tight budget. I mean, I didn't say what I wanted to say.
Pucker tight budget.
I had to.
All right, well, I'm puckering right now, but
Pucker up.
I mean, I think if people are willing to take out debt to spend, the idea would be that they think they'll be able to repay it, keyword think, they'll be able to repay it in the future, which also still shows consumer confidence.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Sorry, I couldn't hear your cough.
I say student loans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we talked about this last week, by the way. I'd like to know the units sold, not the total dollar amount. If we got to the units sold, maybe that would give us more, but that even probably would still be good, because I think it's big ticket items being bought by the wealthy, and that's what's pumping this up. And it's the upper 20% that are making it look a lot better than it is, while the 80% below, and I've said this for a while now, it's the rest of us po people that are we're in misery. We're not at the same consumer sentiment as the top 20% are. So
it's not like the
that's
money
what I say.
runs out of circulation. I mean, it's just in different hands now. So
more of it's in the wealthy. Yes,
right.
I will say something that I noticed recently. So I recently went to Nashville, went to Opryland, saw Ice, right? It is more expensive to go to Opryland right now than it is to go to Disney World right now.
Yeah.
Right? You can literally Uber Eats and food to Opryland, and it's half the price of the food that if you would buy it at Opryland. And that's with Uber Eats stupid markup that's basically almost 33% more than if you did it yourself.
That's supply and demand by the wealthy. I mean, the wealthy can go in and afford that, so they're going to charge as much as they can get away with until not as many people are buying, right? I mean, that's supply and demand. I mean, there's not as many hotels in there as there are in Disney, and there's a lot of things that affect that, I think. Nashville is also well known to be expensive now.
Well, Nashville is going to think of it expensive.
Uber
but
Eats,
if people are willing to still pay it,
exactly, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just also like we had we had several years of stimulus where we had extra money that we were just given. So we were allowed, some extra creature comforts and to, splurge on a few things and spend something, spend money that maybe we didn't have. And it's difficult in this, in the consumer mindset to roll back, unless you just have to.
One thing it's a psychological weapon. If you ever make more, you don't ever want to make less.
Right.
And somehow you always consume. The more you make, somehow you always consume at that level or higher.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, if they're just going to keep doing it, just keep printing out more dollars, and everybody's still happy. What I would love to see is the increase or decrease in credit card spending over the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have that, but I have some other numbers, which of course we will pick apart. But I'm just, to add, just because, we asked about kind of more consistent year over year terms and just actual dollar spent. So in-store traffic for Black Friday increased by 4.5% this year, right? They say that over the Thanksgiving weekend, people spent $8 more than the previous year's spend of $235. And if you believe the inflation numbers, which, I don't think any of us do, but we have to get a set point from somewhere, is that if you look at the annual inflation of 2.6%, that's still a 7.6% increase in real growth of online sales.
Okay.
But the day that report's released, you said Adobe, there were about 4 other sources that sent out their numbers, and they ranged in, and this was in my, by the way, 3 things you should know for the day last week. is that there were
dare you promote your other stuff, huh?
I'm telling you. But I'm just saying there were 4 different sources, and they had 4 different numbers from 3% up to 15% up, and on Black Friday. So I mean, I just don't know what to believe.
What were the other sources?
I don't have them right now with me, of course.
Okay, I just didn't know. Like, they were like, if they were like Visa's numbers, I would trust Visa more than.
So was one of them, I think, and there was 2 others, which I didn't necessarily recognize. But it just goes to show you it's a matter of where you source, and then you'd have to decide which source is more accurate than the other, and maybe none of them are. So there's my conspiracy hat for
what I heard is that they were all up.
Yes, but not as much as you were saying.
I'm my tinfoil hat right now, and personally,
all right, I'll take mine off. I just did.
Remember that hack where basically all of our social security numbers and credit card files were basically put out there in March? They're using that information now. Enjoy.
I haven't bought anything good on my credit card.
That you know about.
Somebody's enjoying it somewhere in another country.
I look at all my statements. So
yeah, but it's the credit card that you don't have. They have it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Oh, but that shows up on my Credit Karma. I'll know about it.
Oh yeah. It's like,
all right, guys, we need to be confident.
Trust me, if I can't open up a credit card in my own name myself without the credit bureaus finding out, I'll find out about the fake one. I just hope they buy themselves something good before I find out.
Oh, I'm sure they will. They will.
If you're gonna, I don't know. Every time I've had credit card numbers stolen, it's always for some like dumb, like they bought something at 7-Eleven to see if it worked, and then I saw it, or like they spent $100 at H&M. I'm like, guys, come on, like do better.
They don't know anything.
Buy a MacBook
Forever
Pro.
21 for you. Forever 21.
It's time to move on to our segment After the Bell, Crayons and Charts, starring Royce Wells as he goes through his charts that are propelled by our AI bot Pips.
Yes.
And if you will go ahead and what are we going to be looking at today? You know what? I'm going to have to let's hold off on that.
Okay.
It looks like I'm going to have to when you went away and came back, I have to
re-add me. Where we last our heroes.
All right, we're going to restart this, and I'm going to start for 3, 2, 1. And now it's time for After the Bell, starring Royce Wells. And what chart do you have?
Designed and made for taxing, or basically speeding up the process of getting goods across borders. Well, since basically that's where we're going, and since Trump is definitely pro tariffs and exports and raising our GDP and keeping the dollar stronger, we literally got a buy signal mid-September prior to him being elected, saying basically go buy this guy who's sitting at about 40-something cents. Well, if you followed thoroughly through that, you got all the way to where we are right now. At least earlier this week, Sunday, we got our last green dollar sign up here, showing that we made it all the way up to about 289-ish, 290 if you were really lucky and got that price point. But the question is, will it go any further? People have been saying, oh, this guy's going to make it to $10. Trump isn't even in office yet. Well, you're probably right. It probably will. And then on previous After the Bells, we have even spoken about XRP going up. And basically, this is currently a rest period that I think is coming. Let me turn on our 3D Advance and basically show you everything that's possible. What I love about the 3D Advance indicator, it shows you where we run out of probability. So we got all the way up here, which what basically says roughly about $3. People have estimated about 10. Well, I'm going to say no, $10 is not a realistic number, at least from this standpoint using our weekly chart. Somewhere around 371ville. So it means if you don't have it now, you could potentially pick it up. But where would you pick it up, or where should you pick it up? That's a good question. If I were that person, somewhere around $2 is where I consider picking it up and potentially riding it all the way up to 371. The other question is, where is it going to go? Where are those support lines that basically lets us know if it's too late to get in, get out, and all that other stuff? So let me draw a couple of those to further illustrate where we are in this thing. We are currently sitting underneath all of them. So all of them currently are creating a nice line or band of resistance. But notice it's taking off quite nicely, literally going through the middle of almost every single one of these candles. But that also means if you follow through with this line, somewhere in the very near future, because this is a weekly time frame, probably somewhere near December, end of December, and maybe, mid-December, almost Christmas, maybe we'll see that 370-ish number that we're looking at. So if you're a patient person and you like the HODL or HOLD, depending on how you want to hold, XRP might be the crypto for you. All right, see you guys next time.
All right, that was the XRP chart, which was basically, all those little bands that you saw were features, right, of our AI bot.
The Arbitrage band trading system.
So eventually, those resistance lines could become support lines, right? And then
exactly, and if it can
off
hold
of
up, and if it can hold, so I mean, if it can hold 250-ish, basically the sky is the limit.
Gotcha. Then they might hit the 10, right?
No, not even close.
Not even after the inauguration.
No, well, I should have did Bitcoin and showed you how close we were. We got to 100,000, but couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, we hit 98.
99.6 actually.
Oh wow. Okay, that close.
Yeah.
All right. So then it's going to bounce. Some people are saying it'll bounce, and then it'll hit 120, and then it'll hit the big drop. We'll see. I don't know. Everybody has an opinion, just like everybody has a
2025 Bitcoin
belly button.
50,000.
All right. All right. Let's talk about the sad stuff. I hate to bring this in, but we have that weekly competition that happens, and I had the first pick because I had won.
It's neck and neck.
I had won, so I got to pick what the next one was, and I thought I'd be kind of cutesy because I picked one that had an ER this week. So I thought, this will kind of be almost like a circus pick. Nobody will really know what.
Aaron thought he was so cute.
But you want to know what his downfall is? He's a perma-bear. That's literally what the problem is. Had he literally just gone up and to the right, he'd still be winning.
To that, I'm showing now the scorecard, and you will see that this week's winner was Daniel. He wasn't even here to pick, but his teammate, the Quant, did pick it for him, and he picked well. As he gave him the very.
Wait, didn't we not record last week?
Right, but it was still picked. We still picked the because of that, because you did win.
I was asleep.
That's right. So the winner was Daniel, and you will see what's interesting here is now it's 3 to 3 to 3 to 4 if we go individual basis.
Yes,
and it's 6 to 7 if we go team basis. So interesting stuff. That means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks left to go. That's going to be end of January, I guess. And we will. It's a very tight race. So the stock was. It is kind of fun.
Though. I want Josh to win. Josh win second season. Josh 2024.
I was so close last time.
So it was just, to get into the facts and figures here. It was the range given was 83 to 98, or what was it? Okay, or 93. 98, yeah, that's right.
93 to 98, or not to 88, 88 to 93, 93 to 98, and then everything above, yeah. And
so the apes, we got the bottom.
Everything above, it doubled. So, literally, I still say it should count twice.
for my record last year, I do agree.
I was about to say, are we just making up rules
for
again?
next season? Next season, you can't change it mid-season.
We could have rolled it the other way instead of it being just open-ended. If you wind up past the range, the person at the bottom of the range wind up at the top again. to make it at least a little bit more sporting.
Okay, so think about that for next season. So 93 to 98 was the top channel, and it ended up being it actually did that little candle, just like you saw with what XRP. I always call it the criminal candle, because you can see it's the one that jumps way up $20, and it's only about 100,000 shares when everything at millions go through. But that little candle jumps all the way up there and grabs, and it was 127 is what the top was for the top candle. And
Daniel, what's your pick?
We were only playing it.
I got to be honest.
98.
I didn't bring anything. If anyone has,
Daniel did not bring.
We can do Crocs.
That makes 2 weeks in a row you didn't bring anything. All right. So I gave some examples if you want to do the ER route again, which I don't now. What happened?
But I can find something.
It's interesting. Interesting ERs of next week are Oracle, C3AI, AutoZone, GameStop, Adobe, Lennar, Broadcom, and Costco are the big names.
I got a suggestion if you want it.
What you got?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Nano Nuclear. The symbol is NNE.
Okay.
Start looking at the channels. Let me pull over to you.
Ooh, it's only a $26 stock. This is gonna hurt a little. Oh God, it doesn't have any data.
Yeah, you got to go like hourly, but
all right. Woo. Definitely.
Still a lot of missing data. Let's see.
Okay. Yep. Scratch that. Let's go somewhere else.
All right.
Let's go. Let's go with one of Darren's picks. Let's go with C3AI, ticker AI.
Even with ER.
What was it? C3?
It's just
C3
AI as a ticker.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Ooh, this one's pretty.
Wow, look at that candle.
Okay. Cool. All right, Daniel, you get to decide who, what, where, and why.
Well, what are the channels?
Well,
I hate giving ranges. All right, so we got roughly.
You're the only one that can do it.
Damn it. All right. So we got about 35 till about 46. 35 to about 46. So there's about 11.
46?
Yeah, roughly. 45.98 if you want to nitpick.
45 to 36, you said?
Yeah. So everyone gets about $3.75. Enjoy. Let's just make it an even 4. Let's just do 35 to 47.
Oh, we got earnings on Monday too. That's even spicier.
Yep. See if it jumps up, comes back down, or bombs and recovers.
Oh boy. Okay.
Okay. Wait. So sorry. What was?
So let's go.
How big were the segments?
35 to 39, 39 to 40. Is that right? No, that's not right. It's a $3.
39 and below.
Right. 35 to 38. Or rather 30, I guess 35 and below. 35 and
38
below.
and below.
38 and below. 38 to 41. 41 to 45, and then everything above 45.
38 to 41 is only 3, though.
That's what I did. I had to shrink it to 3. I was at 40. You're not counting very well, sir.
So 41 to 44.
Say, I'm the only one that gets the excuse because it's 7 a.m. here.
And then 44 plus. So 38 and below, 38 to 41, 41 to 44.
They said it was
44 and plus.
It was
I know
40,
we had to change that.
45. No, but we went up, not down.
Yeah,
You said it's 3 per.
Yes, so starting at 45, starting at 35, all the way up to 47.
Right. So 38 and below is the first one.
Yes.
Then you have 38 to 41.
Correct.
Then you have 41 to 44. And then you have 44 plus.
47. Yes.
Well, plus. Yes. All right. So, Daniel, you pick first and then tell who's going to pick next.
I want the one that's like, what is it, 41 to 45?
Okay.
41 to 44.
And Are we doing the rule of you got to pick someone on the other team for the next one? Or?
No.
You can do it however you want.
However you want to do it, though.
Okay, I just want to say I think next season we should do that.
So you can't black out an entire range.
I just think it makes it more fair.
I just think a random dice throw.
I mean, yeah, you can make a random number generator on Excel pretty easily.
That'd be something we could even show on the screen. It'd be kind of fun.
Sounds like Darren has homework. So I mean, I guess Royce, because I'm sure I got picked last week and signed a number. So yeah. So
all right. So I'm gonna take everything below 38. 38 and below.
Oh, we're gonna split us up this week. There's no. Okay.
You got it, dude.
All right, who's next? Which ape are you picking?
I'll let Josh.
I knew that was happening.
I don't want him to hurt himself.
I'll take right above Royce.
All right.
Yay! It's close. It's at 37.95 after the bell.
I get 44 and up. So maybe what'll happen is the same thing that happened this week, and which was close to. Remember, ER. If they have a good ER, I got a shot. All right.
I have bad news for you.
Yeah.
That RSI line does not look like it's in your favor.
But that's the thing about these things, though, is that when you have ERs, you can kind of like all bets are off.
You can't.
We'll see. Because if you notice that the 5 went way above where it should have. That 127 was way up at the top of the cloud, if you will.
Well, hold on. I can turn on the cloud for you.
No, 127
perfectly in bounds.
All the way up.
Perfectly in bounds.
Looking at CAI, I was talking about last week with 5.
Oh, I can go to 5. Hold on. I'm just saying, where's that RSI line?
See that cloud all the way? It created the cloud. It pushed the cloud all the way up.
Notice that RSI line is nowhere near the top of this band.
That's what I'm saying. We'll see. We'll see what
happens. Hey.
These are circus picks. Anything that has an ER involved are circus picks because they're just a little
maybe for you
sliver.
You're the ape in the circus.
You're a sliver of the reality. Who? All right, let's go ahead and close this thing up. All right, guys, this has been After the Bell with Arbitrage Trade, and hopefully we will see all 4 of us back. We got a couple of weeks, and then we got Christmas. So hey, let's have fun. We'll see you guys. Everybody try to maybe I can borrow one of Royce's 40 Christmas sweaters. I don't know, but maybe we'll all be Christmased up next week.
There are 48
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Throw poop and snowballs. All right. Bye.